Ho, ho, ho! That was awful. Hello and welcome to the Chattergate podcast, where we just talk random crap for as long as we possibly can. As usual, you got me drinking Thomas Hughes. Still weird to say that at the moment. And Zenify Gaming, Connor O'Shea.
Just Zenith. Just call me Zenith. It narrows it down, doesn't it?
Zenith, yeah. Zenith.
Zenny boy.
Zenny boy. There you go, there's your new name, Zenny boy.
The big Zen.
You start keeps coming up with these different names. The big Zembowski. If you couldn't guess from that movie reference there, we've been the festive time of the year now. We're going to be talking about the greatest Christmas movies and just Christmas movies in general for as long as we possibly can. So it's going to cover like the ones we think are like the greatest movies, especially at Christmas. Ones that's worth a mention, like we've seen this is here and there, and then just ones that are kind of debatable. So
it's debatable.
There's a few obvious ones. There's like ones that a lot of people debate if they are Christmas movies or if they're not Christmas movies, and where we stand on said sort of ground. I don't know the words here. But yeah, so I feel like we'll start with the debatable ones just to get them out the way and done with. I mean,
come on.
One of the first debatable ones I think we can get off is like one. Obviously, I covered on Old Chatter Cave last year with Hayden and James, if I remember correctly, which is the Nightmare Before Christmas. Obviously, Disney's Tim Burton's Nightmare Before Christmas. It's a weird one because obviously you said it yourself this morning. Obviously, the start of it is Halloween. Technically, it's focused heavily on the Halloween holiday, whereas the second half basically focuses on Christmas. So it kind of comes under both categories. It's both technically Halloween and Christmas at the same time. I know it wasn't released at Christmas. It was released well before. I think it was released literally for Halloween, but it is still half a festive movie. So where do you kind of stand on this one? As like, is it like for you a Christmas movie, or is it for you like Halloween, or just anything else?
Yeah, I think it's a good lead-in to Christmas movies. Like, you start obviously you watch on Halloween, and then obviously the next day it'd be like November, everyone starts getting to Christmas. So it starts with Halloween and moves into the Christmas. So you end on the Christmas thing. I think that's pretty good. But I think I'll put it as a Christmas film as well. I think you can watch it either time. I think in Halloween or Christmas, depends on who you are. Like I say, I if I've ever watched it, I'm pretty sure I watched it more around Christmas than Halloween. But then again, it is literally in the title, not before Christmas. So Christmas is in the title. So
yeah, same. It's definitely one that I always go to at Christmas time. It's usually like one that there's a few that I always watch every Christmas, and this is obviously one of them. But I can technically still watch this movie like mid-November. I think that's when I actually watched it last.
It literally falls anywhere in October till December. You can watch it kind of anywhere within that period, and it still fits fine.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the magic of it.
Yeah, exactly. It's like this is obviously unlike one I'm going to talk about in a minute. This is one that I feel like there's only about 3 months in a year you probably can watch it without being like a weirdo, and that is obviously Halloween to obviously Christmas Day, like that time period there. So I technically lean more for it as a Christmas movie, because though I can watch it in say like November or such, it's one that I rarely do. It's one that I always do go to in December. So for me, I kind of do put it under the category of Christmas than anything else.
Yeah, I think it's more of a Christmas film, but it ends on the Christmas note, which makes more sense to be like a Christmas film. Like if it ended on like the Halloween, maybe be like, oh, this is more of a Halloween film, but it starts on like the Christmassy side of stuff. So I mean, it ends on the Christmas side of stuff. That starts. But I think I'll say more Christmas. I'll watch it towards Christmas more anyway. So.
Well, the other debatable one is a one that's like a massive, major sort of debate between a lot of people, and that's Die Hard. Because I mean, the plot is essentially set around Christmas, but for me personally, it's a film I can watch all year round. Like I don't. It's not when Night Before Christmas I can only watch, say, at this like point of the year. Die Hard for me is one that I can watch all year round, because though I understand where people come from, obviously oh, it's a Christmas party. That's the whole reason he's there. Yada yada yada. Personally, I can watch it all year round. So for me, if I can watch a movie all year round, even if it is slightly festive, I don't count it as a festive movie, like a Christmas movie. So for me personally, Die Hard, I don't put it under that Christmas category.
Maybe that's what makes it the best Christmas movie of all time. Is the fact that it's so niche into the Christmas thing, but it's like still really fucking good. I don't think it's designed to be a Christmas movie. It's just the time period set around Christmas, so it's fine to watch at Christmas. But you can also have the argument of like, wait, it's set at Christmas. He also says Merry Christmas a few times, and there's like a whole Christmas party going on. I suppose you could put it in there. It makes sense to watch it on Christmas Day though, because obviously the event's happening. Like, is it Christmas Eve or Christmas Day? The event's happening.
It's been a while since I watched it.
Christmas Day, isn't it? So, like, it is a good film to watch, like, on Christmas Day, I think. I think it falls into anywhere. I think the thing is, it's that much of a timeless classic, you can watch it at any point. But then again, like Gremlins, I don't watch that just at Christmas. I could watch that at any point, to be fair. So.
I'm the opposite. I can only watch that at Christmas.
No, I love that film. I think I can watch it at any point, but Die Hard, I think, is one of them films where, like, it's so good, like, the entire film's so good that it doesn't matter when you watch it, it's still gonna be good. Even if you totally dismiss the Christmas aspect of the film, that's only like a small part, really. So I can see both arguments. I can see like, oh, why it's Christmas, and why people are like, yeah, no, it's just like an action flick. So I think it's a good Christmas film. I class it as a Christmas film just because it's set around Christmas. But then you got the sequels which have nothing to do with it all, so that's why it kind of like the argument.
I think the second one was sort of Christmassy still. But it's anything after 2 that it's like just a generic action film with Bruce Willis.
Yeah, we did well, so let's just build on it. Let's just go for it.
Let's just milk it.
Yeah,
I love that here. Obviously, the opposite. Obviously, you put Die Hard in the Christmas category. I put Gremlins in the Christmas category, but we're both opposite on our stances. So I don't put. I can't. I can watch Die Hard at any point in the year, whereas you can watch Gremlins at any point in the year. But obviously, I like that difference here. Because I mean, for me, Gremlins is like one of probably my second favorite Christmas movie of all time. It's definitely up there. I mean, I spent fucking what £200 on a fucking Gremlins puppet not long ago. I mean, I've got a Mogwai teddy bear somewhere. I've got the Gremlin from Gremlin 2. I can't remember her name. The female Gremlin.
the lipstick on.
Yeah, the one that snaps the guy at the end. I've got that in Funko Pop format. Like, I mean, literally, I watched Gremlins Sunday during my Christmas marathon. I watched that because for me, it's like one of my favorite Christmas movies of all time. See, I put it as my favorite until you reminded me last year of one which we'll talk about later. And I was like, oh shit, yeah, no, that is my favorite Christmas movie of all time. This is my second favorite. I'm assuming like Die Hard's like your second favorite then of all time.
I think Die Hard's up there. I wouldn't say it's second favourite. I might put it as like maybe number 4.
Oh, that would have been interesting. If we obviously how we're talking about this now, if you put that as your second, how our stances are so different on these two movies, but they're both still up there as our like number 2s. That would have been like an interesting stance. But now you broke that. Fuck you broke that completely. Obviously, the same thing with Die Hard. The same can be said about Batman Returns. The one with Danny DeVito, because that is set at Christmas. Like the whole plot is set around Christmas. But personally, I it's the same as Die Hard. I can watch it any point in the year.
The thing is, there's a lot of films like that have like Christmas aspects. Like I'm pretty sure one of the Rockies doesn't have like a Christmas aspect in it or something stupid. Like then you get like a Christmas present for like Adrian or something.
Wow.
I swear, there's like a small ass scene. He's like got us a present or some stupid thing. There's like, obviously it's like. Anything set around December, well, obviously they're going to have like a little Christmassy part in it because it's such a popular holiday, but it doesn't mean it's a Christmas film. Whereas I think because obviously in Die Hard, it's so set around Christmas. Like the only reason they're there is Christmas.
Batman Returns is set around Christmas.
You could watch it at Christmas. I feel like it's one of the things you could watch whenever. I don't think it's designed to be just a Christmas movie, but it's designed to be a watch whenever kind of thing. But like I say, if it's a classic, it's going to be watched whenever anyway. So
the same could really be said like with Iron Man 3, because a lot of that is set at Christmas time, isn't it? The third one.
Yeah, there's probably loads of them set at Christmas.
Well, I mean, it's definitely some like those sort of ones are like the type of ones that you can really get away with all year round. It's like you don't really need to. it's like though it is like heavily set and parts of these, it's like yeah, but for me it's not. Like I can get away with that at any point. Uh, Obviously, another one I brought up to you this morning was obviously the Rise of the Guardians, the one with obviously Santa Claus, Jack Frost, Sandman, the Tooth Fairy, and the Easter Bunny versus what's it? That geezer, isn't it? It's the one voiced by the guy who plays Dumbledore now.
I can't think. To be fair, I've watched the film like twice.
He's like a shadow spectre, isn't he? He's got like a horse, he's got the shadow. Yeah, he's like the anti-Sandman, basically, isn't he?
I don't think that. I think the film very hit or miss for me. I feel like I've watched it a few times, but I can't remember anything about it. I remember like obviously the characters what look like, and that's about it.
I think I watched it last Christmas when it was on like BBC One. I think one of the mornings.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's always on around Christmas. Like even on Netflix now, it's advertised now. Like, oh, watch this film now. It's like, well, I don't know if it's a Christmas film. Like, obviously, isn't the beginning set around Christmas? With obviously Jack Frost being like.
That's what I said to you. You said that to me earlier, and I was like, that's the thing, because a lot of the movie is set around different points. There's obviously the whole Christmas aspect, like showcasing Santa with his like, his weird ass like Santa workshop he's got with like fucking like giant monsters like moving stuff and whatnot. Like Yeti's doing stuff. Obviously, there's a whole bit with the Easter Bunny that's present, like the whole Easter segment. There's like a lot of different like holidays celebrated and like parts like in general. As obviously, so it's kind of like a mix. Like for me, to be fair, it's not one that I jump at the gun to always watch. Like I will watch it. I mean, I do like it, but it's not one I jump at the gun to watch. But I will watch it at Christmas when it's on TV. I will throw it on if there's enough. Oh yeah, I'll watch that. That's kind of a weird one for me, because I mean, I don't put it as a Christmas movie, but at the same time, I do put it as a Christmas movie. So that's kind of a weird one for me.
Yeah, I don't know where to put that one, because it's obviously about all the holidays, about every event. Obviously, each character represents a holiday, so I don't know. I can't really remember much of the storyline. Is it anything to do with like, oh, we're doing this to save Christmas, or is it just like doing this to save the world?
Save all the different fucking types of holidays.
So
like save Easter, save Christmas, save the Tooth Fairy, save Sandman, save like Jack Frost. It's the different like parts and stuff. It's just a weird one. I feel like that's just a weird one for me and you. It's like, yeah, we don't. It's like if you don't do like two big circles, it's like one in the middle. You'd put it in the middle circles. The overlapping ones is like question mark. I don't know.
It is a weird one. I think obviously it's the same as Die Hard. There's aspects which are Christmas, but then there's aspects which aren't. So it's maybe in the mid thing. Like you can watch it at Christmas, it'd be fine, but you could also watch it whenever, and it's like that's fine as well.
I did bring up to you, it's my last one in debate about like the worst like Christmas movie I can think of. That's like not really Christmassy, but it's set at Christmas. And that was obviously George Revenge, the fourth Jaws movie, because I mean the whole aspect is the character going to the Bahamas because it's Christmas, but you know the movie's just dog shit apart from Michael Caine. Like he's the only redeeming factor about that movie.
I've not watched it, so I can't even comment.
It's just dog shit. Oh no, this shark is hunting our family because we killed all the other sharks. Oh no! Literally the plot. I mean, it swims all the way from America to the Bahamas just to get the bloodline.
Sounds amazing.
Yeah, it's dog shit. Okay, so let's move on to the ones that are worth a mention, like ones that we wouldn't put as our top ones, but it's ones that we want to bring up and have a little conversation about. I mean, Jingle All the Way. I wouldn't put that as my top 5. But it's definitely worth a mention because the first one, at least, not the second one. Second one, I can't remember much.
I don't know the second one.
Yeah, it's the guy who played Mater in Cars. He played basically the main character in it, along with a former WWE wrestler. Yeah, the guy who had the snake for a hand.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that guy. He was like his best mate.
All I'm picturing in my head is that kid when they're playing the flute and the great Carly's like,
yeah, that one. Like, I mean, it's basically enough the exact same plot, but on a smaller scale.
See, I put Jingle All the Way quite high. I know a lot of people hate it because obviously it's a pretty much generic film.
I don't hate it.
Well, the big show part, I love that bit when he comes out. Like,
Santa.
yeah, I think there's like so many good parts in that film. Obviously, it's the generic 80s Christmas movie.
90s.
So 90s, is it? Bloody hell.
It was late 90s. Dude, they had the kid from Star Wars in it. It's 90s.
Fucking hell. I thought it was like 80s. Okay, maybe it is worse than I thought.
Nah, it's definitely up there for me as a probably in like the top 10 because it's definitely one that I do come back to enough every year on Christmas time just to watch because it is a fun movie. I mean, the TV series Solar Opposites, sorry, the one with the aliens, which from the same people who made Rick and Morty, their Christmas special is literally centered around the movie Jingle All the Way, and then basically going Ready Player One start going into the movie, hating the movie, but then having to go back into the movie because it's drained all their Christmas spirit. The problem is they ruined the kid in the movie, and now he's like an overlord, and like the the postman. He's like there's like millions of him, and they're all like cannibals. It's like it's weird. It's a good episode. It's weird, but I mean, it brings it back to the idea. Obviously, it's still a well-known film, so if things can spoof it because they will. Because I mean, it's turbo time.
Tell you one scene that film always like I always think of when I think of that film.
Put the
Is
cookie down.
You know Arnie's chasing that girl and she got the golden ball thing.
Oh, in yeah.
Yeah, and it just seems very odd. Like is the girl like a normal girl, or is like she got something wrong with her? Because I always thought as a kid that she had like something wrong with her, and that's why she didn't understand that he just wants the ball back. And then she eats it in the end or something. And he like grabs her mouth. Like it's just a very weird scene. That whole.
It's no when he drops it, it bounces and she gets it, and he's just chasing after her for the more.
Yeah, it's just a very weird like. Yeah, it feels like a fever dream. That whole part of the film is very odd. It's really like he squeezes them.
It's still a fun festive movie. I mean, seeing Arnie dress up as like a superhero is, even if it's just like meant to be like an action figure, it's still fun.
There's just some like things in that film which like I love, like especially the bit when he's got that package. Like, oh, it's a bomb! It's a bomb! And everyone's like, and he didn't actually think it's a bomb, and it explodes. And he's like, oh my god!
Yeah,
it is good, man. There's some good things in that film. I think I'd put it pretty high actually. I think it's
one that's overhated. I think.
Yeah,
it's got like a bad reputation, but I feel like I kind of feel like it's got a cult following now. It's like one of those ones. Like I mean, a lot of
just
old
it's
movies.
Another Arnie show. Yeah. And I think a lot of people stand on Arnie. I think he's obviously he was oversaturated, but like I feel like in the future people are gonna hate on Dwayne Johnson because he's in everything. Like obviously Arnie was in everything. People hate on him for it, so
I do think it's definitely up there as one of the good ones. I'm talking of up there as well. I feel like National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. I don't know if you've watched that one.
Is it the one where they tries to go to the theme park? Because when he's on the roof with the lights.
Yeah, the theme park's the first film. That's the one that's just called National Lampoon's Vacation.
I think I have watched this one. It's when he's getting on the roof and he keeps turning on the lights because one of them's broke and he has to wait for him to come on.
Yeah, it's when he has a chainsaw at one point. He looks like frigging Jason because he's got the hockey mask and everything. I think
I've watched bits of it. Obviously, I watched it when I was a lot younger. Is Uncle Buck in it? Obviously, not the Uncle Buck, the guy who plays him. Is he? I'm imagining.
I don't think he is. No, I know he's got the. Oh. I swear it's that one. It's got the kid from the one who plays fucking Leonard in Big Bang Theory. The one with the curly hair.
Mm-hmm.
I swear he's the kid in this one. It's either this one or the Vegas one. One of these two. I think it was the Christmas one. He was like the main son. So obviously each film basically sort of recast the kids, and I'm pretty certain he was the son in this one. My mom loves this movie. Like,
I've definitely watched it. I think it's one of the things that I've watched as a kid, and like obviously with my dad, but I can't really recall the whole film. There's like certain events within the film.
Like she brought like the entire box set because she loves the National Lampoon's movies, and the Christmas one she loves as well. I think there's like a scene when like the tree smashes through the window, if I remember correctly. It's been a long time since I watched it. I might have to rewatch it again. But it's definitely one that I remember being like a really great Christmas movie. It was just really funny.
I have to watch it again as well. I can't think of it. I remember bits of it. Obviously, it was a roof and whatnot, but I can't remember too much of it.
I remember it being good, but we'll see if I rewatch it and go, "Oh, that hasn't aged well." Obviously, one we can bring up. Obviously, it's not like a great Christmas movie, but it's one that obviously we've been speaking about today, which you recently watched, which you had mixed feelings on, and I agreed with like you were saying, which is obviously the Krampus movie that came out in 2015. which is
Yeah, I think it
just
was.
had the naughty cut release today. I think it was in America, which is like added like a couple of extra deleted scenes and like added like swearing, like a lot of f-bombs basically that got cut. Apparently, there's not too much different. But it's basically the same film. It's like swearing, but obviously, it's something we both agreed on. Had potential. There's a lot to like about it, but there's a lot that's poorly executed within it. Like, I mean, if you listen to the director, like a lot of the houses you see outside, a lot of them are actually based on like famous Christmas houses from movies. But he won't say what because obviously the copyright would go, "Hey, not having
Home
that."
Alone.
I would assume one is like the
I
Home
swear
Alone
the one
house.
across the road looks exactly like the Home Alone. When they're looking at it, it's all like broken.
Apparently, like there's a lot of like Easter eggs in terms of the houses. Like he spent ages, like he's like, "Oh, I need to design all these houses." So he's like, "Fuck it, I'll just use like actual famous designs." So people go, "Oh, I recognise that. Oh, I got that from that film." But I mean, I think obviously you said it best. Like the practical side of it is really cool. Like, but it's a lot of the character choices really stupid and just like don't make any sense.
It's just like the obviously the costumes and stuff is really good. That's my favorite part of the film. Probably it's just some of the things in that, like he tries to go for a serious slash comedy kind of thing at times. It's like just he go one or the other, because I think if it was more of a serious horror film, would have been like really good. But then they went like these stupid little like humorous bits, and I was like, it's just it threw me out of it. Like you get rid of them gingerbread men thing. I think that took me out of it as well. I think if they had like something else in there other than the gingerbread men shooting him, like that bit took me out, man. I was like getting into it, all the like the other stuff, like a big slug thing with a mouth. That's cool. And then you got the gingerbread man. It's like, what the hell?
I don't know.
He's like shooting him with a shotgun.
I like the Gingerbread Man. I thought it was quite funny.
I think it's good. I think they just should have had something else in place. Like, I like the practical, and that was the only thing in the film that was like really CG. And I was like, God, like some practical would have been way cooler there. Like everything else was really good though. I really enjoyed like I said, the big slug thing was probably my favorite thing in the film. Like, just it is creepy as hell, but they didn't have enough gore. It wasn't like they obviously went for the 15 rating, was it?
Yes, I believe it was.
I wish it had gone for like an 18. I think it would have done better if it had like way more gore
Like a
and like
proper serious
yeah,
Christmas horror.
like a Christmas horror. Like not many Christmas horrors out there, and I think it would have done well. Obviously, it probably did well anyway, just because it's a Christmas horror and no one had really seen it. But I know it did critically quite bad, didn't it? Or audience reviews did like quite bad.
Yeah, I'll have a look for you.
I'm feel like it would have done pretty decent at the box office though, considering it's like
Let's have a look.
Most Christmas films, and it's different. But
Krampus, 2015. Critically, it got 67% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is
not
good.
too bad. I've seen this.
Audience got 51%.
Like I've always said, like that film, like when I watched it, I was like, yeah, I'll give it like a 6 out of 10, which is like for me, obviously like a 60%. So
box office, it cost them 15 million to make it. They made 61.5 million.
pretty decent.
It's not a massive amount, but it's obviously better than. It's basically they got their money back and probably a little bit more.
Yeah, I think it deserves more love in places, but I understand where the criticism comes from, because I would also give it like a 6 out of 10, like easily. Just I think some of the characters were just stupid. It annoyed me. It's like, why are they so annoying? Like, I've got one for you actually.
Oh, go on then.
My voice is going. I know that one of mine and your favourite Christmas film of all time is Home Alone 1.
Yeah, that's on my list.
But Home Alone 2, where's that falling? Because I think that is almost on par with the first one.
It's definitely a good follow-up.
More just because it's the first one. But the second one's so good as well.
It's definitely a really good follow-up. Yeah, it went to the sort of mediocre to dog shit territory after that.
Yeah. I really love the second one. I think the second one has like obviously had a bit more budget, I feel like, and it just there's obviously big more set things, but I think the first one had a bit more iconic moments, but you'll never beat the moment when he meets Donald Trump, for God's sake. Like
I feel like the second one, they took more risks. They knew how well the first one did and what they couldn't do. So I feel like they were like, okay, audience love this, so we can take a bit more risks with what we're doing with this movie. And obviously they did with obviously the whole idea of, oh, let's send him to like New York. Let's have him like go around by himself. Like his family are actually on the wrong flight to somewhere else, and like they actually took him this time, but they took him on the wrong one. And like this whole idea of having like this bigger, grander idea, but basically the same type of movie with the fact that it's the same burglars, but this time in a different place. So obviously they were able to take more risks just for how well the first one did. Because I mean, the first one, not to steal my thunder from what I said to Alex, which is a video that's going out in like a couple of weeks, is actually like the second highest grossing Christmas movie of all time. It was the first up until 2018, when the animated Grinch movie came out and took its spot. That took its spot by getting over 500 million, but the first one got like 480 million or something stupid like that.
Yeah.
So with that knowledge of that money and the response from both critics and audience, obviously the second one was like, okay, we can take a few more risks here, take a few gambles. Okay, Donald Trump randomly, I don't know why, but I mean they got a really great supporting cast within the second one. I mean, Tim Curry, for crying out loud, was in the second one. I love Tim Curry. He was great as Pennywise, and I've seen him in like obviously Scary Movie 2. He's hilarious in that. He was good in The Congo and many other things. So they're able to get more well-known face. I mean, the first one had some well-known face. I mean, obviously you made the reference when he was on about the other film when he said Uncle Buck. Obviously, the actor, obviously, rest in peace, was in First Home Alone. He was the band
That's
member,
what I was getting confused with. That's probably what I was like, oh yeah.
So that, obviously, it's tricky because the first one's just so iconic that you have to put it at the top. But I do agree with you. The second is very close. It is a great follow-up.
Oh, obviously, it's going to be in the top 5. On my list, it's going to be like their joint. Like I can't separate them. I think they both work well together. Like, I couldn't sit and watch number 1 and number 2 straight after. So I'm going to put it like they're like on par. They're together. If I'm going to put in the list, they're both together. I think they both do stuff really good. And both like top Christmas film.
Well, taking it back to obviously the sort of the duo sort of ideas. I mean, obviously Netflix every year you just crack out a load of they churn out fucking God knows how many Christmas movies every year. I mean, most of them are dog shit, mediocre. But I mean, you get the occasional well loved ones. I mean, there was an animated one which I have yet to see, Klaus, which is supposed to be really good.
I've seen bits of it. I think I can't really.
That's supposed to be really good. But they throw a lot of like fucking rom-com fucking Christmas ones, stuff that's out of my league completely. Cause
There's just like a love crappy films for moms.
Yeah, well, that's all my mum watches is Christmas films. I mean, she watched them before Christmas. She watched them in November.
What was the one with Emilia Clarke? It was Last Christmas. That was so bad.
Yeah,
I hate that film. Like, it's so bad. It's not even worth anything.
I didn't even bother.
It's just a standard like love story at Christmas, and it's just, to me, that's not interesting at all. Like, if it's not I feel like comedy films go really well with Christmas. Obviously, that's like a good hand in hand. Horror films are like okay, but I hate the love aspect. Obviously, they sell though because people are like, oh, Christmas love story. It's just not for me. It's normally aimed at like the female audience, I'd say. The male audience is not going to watch fucking Last Christmas in cinema
unless they're dragged. I mean, I think the ones that do strike me well on Netflix, I think the first one particularly was really good. I thought the second one was a decent follow-up. Is the Christmas Chronicles with Kurt Russell when he plays Santa Claus. There's 2 of them. The first one, I will say, is very good. It's obviously he gets like trapped in obviously just normal place. He has to get help by obviously 2 kids to basically get him back to the North Pole. And there's like a whole scene where Kurt Russell gets to like sing like a sort of like old rock fucking song, and he's like in like a jail cell, and he's got all the jail people like fucking playing drums and shit. It's fucking hilarious. It's really good. It came out a few years ago, and obviously part 2 came out last year, which obviously brought back the cast from the first one, but only really utilised obviously Kurt Russell, Goldie, and basically the young character from the first film. Like the older character basically stepped back and they basically replaced him with another character. But I mean, that was a decent like follow-up. It was a lot more action focused. But the first one is a really good Netflix Christmas like comedy family movie. It's definitely one I'd recommend checking out. Like, I mean, you can literally skip the second one. I mean, it's part 2. It says part 2, but
it's not.
Like, you don't have to watch it to you don't have to watch like it entirely at all. You obviously can if you want to just continue with the characters. You do get to see some more humorous moments, but obviously you can just watch the first one and get away with it. But I do recommend the first one; it is good. And there's that other one that Netflix did last year. Was it Jingle Jangle? The one with oh, what's that guy's name? He's really iconic. He's got a really dodgy eye. Forrest Whitaker.
What was I first? Good, yeah.
I couldn't remember his fucking name.
As soon as you said that, I was like, oh yeah. I think I know which one you're about now. Thinking of Forrest Whitaker because I swear I saw like a trailer for it, but I don't know.
That was a decent family movie. It had, obviously, again, it had some famous faces in it. It had what's his name from Key and Peele? The one from Predator. The other one who was always doing the cracking the jokes in Predator.
I know you have, but I can't.
Obviously, you had him in it, and you had a few other people that were quite well known. That was a decent, obviously, Christmas movie. But so I feel with Netflix, it's like Netflix in general. But every good like movie in this term, Christmas movie, they have a fucking handful of really bad ones. I mean, I watched that one the other year. It had fucking Tim Allen in. It was like a bit of robbery. He was like the dad of the one character. He was revealed eventually. You know, spoiler alert. And like they're stuck in a sort of like a gas station like shop, being held hostage by someone, and yeah, it was a bit shit. Like, I mean, I had Jessica Alba in it as like a little tiny like role, which was barely in it, and yeah, it was just crap. Just to sum it up, just crap.
You're bringing up Tim Allen. That's in my top 5. Santa Claus is in my top 5. Just because I remember watching that as a kid all the time. I can't really remember the second one as much. I remember I used to watch the first one all the time, and then the second one
with the evil version of himself.
Yeah, and then the third one's one with Jack Frost. But I love that film. I think that's very iconic. Like, that's up there. But yeah, I'm gonna put that's definitely in my top 5. 100% Santa Claus. I think it might even be like third. I love that film. It's really good.
I agree. The first one is great. I mean, the two sequels are decent, but I mean, none of them compared to the first one. I mean, I many times I put my Disney Plus on and someone's accidentally used my fucking account downstairs. And I mean, I found that film on there 3 times now, halfway through. And I mean, like, stop using my fucking account and use your own.
I need to sit down and watch it. It is so good. It's been a while. I've been watching it as a kid a lot, and I think that's why it holds such a place for me. But it is such a good film.
I mean, it's probably one of Tim Allen's best movies. I mean, it's up there for me with the Toy Stories, Galaxy Quest. I want to say Zoom. I really like Zoom. I mean, not a lot of people liked it, but I liked it. The one is a superhero.
I don't even think
it's like one of those sort of generic sort of family, like, it's one of those generic Tim Allen movies. Like, he basically was like made his own like Avengers. Like, he was like a speedster, he could run. It's like from like 2005, I think. It's like, it's quite old.
Maybe I have watched it. It's probably something I've watched and just can't remember.
I do like that. A lot of people hate it, but I do like that. It's a good film. But
am I going to go to the controversial opinion now?
What do you mean?
And I fucking absolutely hate Elf.
I don't mind Elf. I mean, I haven't seen it for a couple of years, but I mean, I don't mind it. Obviously, I didn't realise till like last year who directed it.
Who was it?
Jon Favreau, who directed Iron Man 1 and 2, and Lion King and Jungle Book. Who plays Happy in fucking all the Marvel movies. I didn't even know he was the one who directed that movie until I fucking read it. I was like, oh, I didn't even know that. He's the same guy who fucking did Sephora as well. The Jumanji sequel. The space one.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I obviously, I think Hayden will love you now because she fucking can't stand that movie. Just mainly for the fact that her mom just plays it over and over again and she just pisses her off completely. But I mean, I don't mind it. It's like one of those ones that I understand why it's iconic. And I understand why it's hated. So it's one of those ones that I can't watch.
It's Will Ferrell. It's Will Ferrell just playing the typical man child, and it's like some films are good. You know, like Step Brothers, it makes sense in, and maybe the other guys he's pretty good in. But I just can't. He's just him. I just can't stand him, and he's such a, especially in that because he's meant to play as like guy who doesn't really know the world. It's just really annoying. I can't stand it. It drives me mad every time it's on. I'm like, yeah, I'm not watching this. I'll just leave the room.
I wouldn't call it controversial. I mean, there is people that do hate it, but kind of controversial.
But the thing is, I think it's such an opposed film. People love it, and people absolutely hate it. I'm in the absolute hate category. Like, I can't stand watch it. As soon as the wall kicks on, I say, "Yeah, I'm done with this." Like,
So I wouldn't say
yeah,
like 9, 10 out of 10. Like, I mean, like a 7 maybe I could go for.
yeah,
Like,
I'll go for like a 3. I think there's some redeeming aspects, but not much.
um, actually, I want to take you back to the horror side of Christmas. Um, I watched one the other night called Silent Night. It came out in 2012, not a 2021 movie, just to confuse people. They're the 2012 remake of Silent Night, Deadly Night, which was a really controversial movie when it first came out, the original one. Like, it was a Christmas slasher about a killer Santa Claus, and everyone got so angry when it came out. Like, I mean, it's got a cult status now, but everyone, like, a lot of, like, obviously, Christians and people like that, they got really angry when this movie first came out, the original one. Like, I mean, people are writing letters saying, don't even, what the fuck are you doing this movie for? Like, people got so angry about it because it was Santa killing people. People are so pissed off, and yet they
Okay.
made 5 movies.
Controversy is always good.
They literally eventually made 5 movies and then a remake. I mean, only the first 3 really follow any sort of storyline, like attaching. Like 4 and 5 are its own like single stories. But I've not seen any of them. I've only seen the remake, which is fucking brutal. I mean, a character gets put through a wood chipper. Like, they up the kills in this movie to the max. I mean, it's not like it's like Krampus. For you, what we were saying, it's like a 6 out of 10. It's like above average. You run the mill slasher movie, but I give credit where credit's due for its kill factors. It's like so. I just realized my chair's so low. Get up, get up. I reckon I've been slowly dropping. I haven't even noticed. The kills are so fucking well done. Like, a lot of it's practical, like so like brutal. But as I say, I kind of watched half it, fell asleep, and then had to rewatch the rest of it because I was too tired when watching it. But it is definitely something that is very intriguing, and it kind of makes me want to sit through at least the first 2 of the original ones. So they're the 2 that are very cult status, iconic ones. And I'm pretty sure they're both on Shudder, so I probably can. What's the other one? The other one I want to bring up, actually, which is now in my top 5 after only just recently watching it, is the original Black Christmas from 1974, which is notoriously is basically near enough one of the first slasher movies, like official. So I mean, there's Psycho in that inspired, obviously eventually inspired like the slasher genre and whatnot. And there is a lot of other like 60s and early 70s like brutal movies about killers, but for the fact that this like the one of the early ones with a Final Girl, this is like one of the notorious with Texas Chainsaw was like the early examples of slashers, and I really liked it. I thought it's like Halloween basically. It very much reminds me of Halloween, and it's very good. I won't say the same about the remakes. The 2006 one is an above average remake that takes the first one and takes it to the max in terms of like Silent Night. Like, I mean, the gore. I mean, the darkness within the themes. I mean, the fucking first remake focuses heavily on the killer being like to do with incest. It's like it's very dark. It's very 2006. And then the 2019 remake is just fucking dog shit. Like, I mean, I respect the fact they didn't just copy and paste remake like the 2006 one did, but they just handled it so badly. It's just like, I just didn't give a shit. But I mean, the original one, I brought it last year. I've been sat on it I've been waiting for Christmas this year just to watch it because I didn't get a chance last Christmas to watch it. I was like, come on, Christmas, I want to watch this movie. And I watched it, and it's just so well done. It's like so well crafted, and you can understand why the slasher genre then boomed because of it. Like, I mean, it's such a dark, it is still a dark movie. It focuses on dark things. I mean, one of the characters gets pregnant and talks about wanting to abort the baby. And it's like, it's a lot of dark themes within this movie. It's like, it's not your run-the-mill Christmas film. Well, it's a slasher movie. It's definitely not going to be on it. And on top of that as well, it has this generic idea of, sorority girls getting killed by like a serial killer. But it's not you sleazy ass run-the-mill like nowadays sort of that type of movies. Like nowadays, you know, there'd be a few knockers here and there and stuff like that. There'd be like stuff like that. But this there isn't. This there isn't. There's a lot of humor in this movie as well. It's actually really well done. I mean, there's a scene where a guy's like trying to find his daughter, and he's in like a room, and the house mother, they're called, I think they're in sororities. She's trying to like cover up like the really rude stuff on the walls. It's like a picture of someone's ass on the wall. She's like putting a hand against it, like trying to lean. Like it's like all right. And it's like a fucking picture like this old woman. Like it's like a picture like this old woman just like sitting there. It keeps changing, and the last picture is going like that to the camera, and the woman just looks at him and is like. There's a lot of really good jokes. I sent the one to you this morning. The joke when the woman gives him a number, the copper, and she says like you have to put fellatio in at first, and obviously that's a rude joke, and the guy doesn't understand, but the other coppers do, and there's a copper in the back who is pissing himself laughing at the idea of this guy fucking up so badly that he got this rude joke written down and said it aloud without thinking, oh shit, it's a rude joke, isn't it? Like it's got really good comedy. It's got some obviously the kills aren't like nowadays like really brutal kills. I mean a lot of them are like sort of psycho shots, like stuff like that. But they're still really well done, and it's got a really dark ending as well, which I really like. It's not like a happy ending either. It's a very dark ending, and the fact that the killer is mysterious. All you know is the name. Well, you don't even know it from the film. Like it's only like really like the director confirmed, like from like, the names you hear. Like oh yeah, the killer's name's Billy.
Yeah.
That's all you know about his character is the name's Billy. You don't know anything else about him. It's not like Michael Myers where you know he was a kid and obviously he snapped. You just know it's a guy called Billy that's hiding in the attic. That's it. That's all you know. Which I like. I like the mysterious factor. Exactly. Whereas the 2006 remake actually explains who Billy is. It does what Rob Zombie's Halloween did. It explains the killer's backstory. Then also includes a second killer, which is technically the guy's daughter, but it's also his sister. As the whole incest angle.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird. It's very weird. But as you run the mill. Oh yeah, 2000 to 2012, like horror slasher remakes that were going on at the times. But honestly, after watching it the other day, I was like, yeah, this is definitely like my top 5. So I like unorthodox Christmas movies. I don't want this generic piece of crap Christmas movie. I want something that sticks in my mind. And for me, this just sticks in my mind. It's like so well made. And it's not even American, it's Canadian, if I remember correctly.
Any Canadian films?
I mean, it's got fucking Lois Lane from the Christopher Reeve Superman movies in it. And she's the one who does the fellatio joke. I do recommend it for people who haven't seen it. It's definitely something very interesting. If you're interested in like the slasher genre, like how it started, it's definitely one to like check out. So I mean, America had Texas Chainsaw Massacre as their first sort of major slasher. Obviously, this was Canada's one. So that's very interesting. Here's one I think we can both talk about. How the Grinch Stole Christmas, the Jim Carrey one.
Yeah, okay, that's instantly in my top 5.
It's like I think that's like number 3 for me.
I think I'll go for number 3 as well.
I feel like so far I've had 4 of mine in my name for top 5. I mean, Black Christmas is number 5, Home Alone is number 4, Grinch at number 3, and then Gremlins at number 2. I'm not going to say number 1 yet, but we both know what number 1 is.
I think my list is very similar to yours. I think Die Hard's in there, other than obviously like Black Christmas or whatever it is. Like that's where I put Die Hard. It's like number 5. So,
but yeah, how the Grinch Stole Christmas is such like at the time it was so hated. Like if you look on Rotten Tomatoes, it's like 50%. It's like mixed between critics and audience. Like mid card. Like I mean, even like the animated one that's recently done, which is like the highest grossing Christmas movie, that is the same. It's mid card. It's like really hated, but rewatching obviously the Grinch as a grown up, it like you really notice all the dirty fucking sexual innuendos, the jokes that you would not get as a kid. It's so fucking hilarious, like rewatching it, and you're just like, damn, I didn't get that as a kid, but I fucking get that joke now. It's fucking, I can't believe they got away with that in this movie. It's so I feel like it's like one of Jim Carrey's like really best like top performances.
Yeah, I think it's really good. I don't know why people hate on it so much. I think it's like a different like kind of Christmas film. I love it.
It's one of those ones I always go to every Christmas. Like pretty much, apart from Black Christmas because I've only just watched that one. Like everything else in my top 5 is one I always watch every Christmas time. I mean, I've watched Gremlins already. I watched How the Grinch Stole Christmas already. I just go watch the other 2. I watched Home Alone at some point, and obviously Muppets. I mean, we said we're going to try and sort this group watch out on Disney Plus. I mean, we can always fucking watch Home Alone, Muppets, and Die Hard if you want. Like a triple billing on the times.
Well, you've mentioned it now. You've mentioned the big one.
Oh, did I? We'll move on to that in a minute, though. Let's obviously stick with obviously the Grinch for a second. I mean, there's a lot of really well done stuff within this Grinch movie. I mean, the practical side of it is so fucking good. Like, I mean, they went so all out on like the characters' costumes, the settings, obviously the Grinch himself. They went all out on everything. I mean, there is obviously a few bits of CGI here. I mean, there's that bit when it zooms in his mouth and it's on about the sort of like the little worm like lice things that it's eating.
Oh yeah.
I was looking at that. I was like, for 2000 CGI, that was actually quite good. Like, I mean, I've seen really worse CGI at the same like time period. But I mean, obviously, yeah, it's only like a little tiny detail. But I mean, it was really well done CGI. And I mean, I just love the movie. There's so many, so much. I mean, I like the bit when he's driving the car, that little tiny car.
Oh, yeah,
And he
like
crashes it, and he's like, "It's gonna blow!" And he's that whole slow motion generic runaway, and it explodes. Fucking love that scene. It's so fucking good. It's hilarious.
There's like little parts in it which like stick with me, like the bit when he takes his socks off and the socks are like trying to run away, and like the bit when he's like coming out, he's like, "Ooh, that's it, I'm not going." Like there's so much stupid things. Like,
and he's like, "It's not a dress, it's a kill." To rips it off, and he's got a fucking one of those what they're called on his legs.
Like the tie things.
Yeah, what the brides wear.
I can't think what it's
like,
called. But yeah.
And the bit when the start, when he's walking around with the fucking the mask on, and he gives that kid some scissors, and he's like, "Up to." Like, there's so many good jokes in the movie. Like the dog sneezing. Blackmail, jury duty. And I said the bit when the dog sneezes, he's like, "Gesundheit." And he's like, and he starts screaming on the ceiling towards singing. Oh, it's so fucking good. I fucking love this movie.
He's just eating the glass as well. He's like,
yeah, and the banana skins and whatnot.
Am I eating because I'm bored?
What a hack job.
Yeah.
Okay, then I feel like we should move on to our fucking the top one. Because I mean, obviously, if you want to know more, obviously the terms of the Grinch. I mean, me, Hayden, and James, I think, covered that one last year. Again, on the old chat cave when we spoke about it there. But this one, me, you, and Hayden spoke about. Because I mean, it was meant to be 4 of us. James didn't turn up. It was just me, you, and Hayden for this one. But I mean, we can put it. I mean, there's only a few things in the world me and you both agree on in terms of like the top is the top. I mean, God of War is one that we both agree on. The remake, reboot, remake, confusing. The 2018 God of War, it's easy enough to say, is the one thing we agree on as like the top video game. And in terms of movies, it's very rare me and you agree. I mean, Jaws is like my favourite movie of all time. I am wearing the Jaws jumper. Don't know what your favourite movie is of all time.
Or like Donnie Darko or like American Psycho.
Something like that. So completely not like linked here. We're not in sync here. But I mean, in terms of Christmas movies, we both agree the greatest Christmas movie of all time is The Muppets Christmas Carol. I mean, we spoke about obviously dissecting the scenes last year, and I was saying in the podcast, and we spoke about how much we loved it. I mean, Hayden hated it, and there's me, you just like going, "No, this movie is like a 10 out of 10. It's like the greatest." I mean, I spoke to your old man about it the other day. And he was like, "Oh yeah, I watched that recently." And me and him was like having this really good conversation about the movie. And he's like, "I love the bit with the jelly beans." And he's like, "Oh, I've got my jelly beans," and goes back for the thing. He's like, "Wait, couldn't you just gone through the fence just?" He goes, "What?" He's like, "Oh, never mind." Like we were talking about the Marley Brothers. There's so much good about this movie. I mean, makes me love Michael Caine even more. I mean, I love Michael Caine thanks to like Italian Job and stuff like that. But I mean, and obviously Batman. But I mean, the Muppets for me is like my favorite Michael Caine role, just because obviously Scrooge is an iconic character, and he just goes all out. Because I mean, he treats obviously everyone around him, like the Muppets, as if he was talking to real people.
Yeah.
But instead, it's obviously just puppets, and it's a film that's on every fucking Christmas, and I always have to watch it every time I go over my uncle's over Christmas. Usually, if I first walk in on the morning, if it's not like a big Hollywood movie, like I don't know, one year I saw him watching Transformers or something like that, or Avengers, I think the one year was as well. He's usually got like the Muppets on like Channel 4 or something like that, because that's usually on like at like 11 o'clock every like Christmas day, and obviously it's one I always sit down and watch just because I fucking love this movie so much. It's so much joy and happiness. It's great.
it's just a top Christmas film. Like I just don't understand how people can hate it. Like, I'm not a fan for like musicals or singing,
Same.
but I'll watch that film and I love it. Like I just can't. I think it's one of them things of like I watched it when I was a kid and it's always stuck with me. But it's that one film I can sit down every time and watch from beginning to end, and every time I watch it, I've never been like, oh, there's a mistake here, or like I've noticed something. It's always like this is such a good fucking film. Like I just love it, man. I think it's just top film. Like even the songs are catchy, man. Like obviously Marley and Marley, that song is like one of the best songs.
Yeah,
Man.
Marley. I think Marley and Marley is the best song. And I think the other best song is the fucking only the big guy. He's like in the singing on a street corner choir, going home and being warmed by the fire. Just true everything.
It goes to Christmas present, isn't it?
Yeah, the one who gets older and
Yeah.
older. Yeah, I feel like an underrated song is one that was actually cut from the movie.
It's the woman on the bench.
Yeah, the obviously
Yeah.
the ooh, what's the song called? Hold on,
I can't think.
give me a sec.
But I know
I've got it on my my playlist. Hold on, give me a second here.
God.
Albums, Muppets Christmas Carol. It's here somewhere. I've listened to it recently. Oh, I've got it.
Make all feels like Christmas.
I've got it here somewhere. Verify. That's why fucking Amazon Music deleted it again. I mean, it keeps fucking doing weird shit, man. It keeps deleting stuff. I don't know.
But anyway, I'll do context to the
Oh
song.
yeah, found it. Which one is it though? Is it When Love Is Gone?
Yes, it's because like he's at this thing and he's on the bench and everything, and they're like singing and love each other, but they can't love each other anymore. And she's like, "You're kind of bitter," and he's like, "Oh
Yeah, 'cause
no."
it was one of three songs cut, wasn't it? 'Cause the other ones were the Eagle song and the
Yes.
Bunsen and Beaker song.
But that's the one thing that every time I've watched it, that's the one I notice always cut out because it goes into that scene and they're like, oh, like she's like, oh, I don't want to be with you anymore, la la la. And then normally it's like they had the song beforehand of this event and on the bench together singing, and it's just gone. It's like what? Like I remember I had the VHS and I used to put it on, and that was always on there. And I got a DVD version. I was like, oh, so you're gonna get better quality? Put it in. I was like, where's like the half the songs? Where's this part of the film? Like,
See, that's the thing. I mean, that shows why it's a great Christmas film. Even with the stuff, obviously they got three songs cut. Even when you rewatch those songs out of it, you're like, wow, those songs are great. Like, I mean, you could put them back in the film and it'd make the film even better. So it's like,
I think they cut it just for the fact it wasn't needed, but I feel like it gave the bit of context of like them two of actually in love and stuff, and I think that was like the little love aspect and why he was bitter in the end. And then they just kind of cut. I think that's the biggest mistake is cutting that song. I love that song, and I think it should have stayed in.
yeah, I agree. I mean, I've heard it a few times. The song, and it's a really beautiful song.
It's just good. Like,
It's a shame they cut it.
yeah,
Uh,
after Michael Caine's beautiful voice singing to.
yeah.
Actually, it's not him singing that scene, is it? It's the younger Michael Caine. I don't know. Obviously, younger Scrooge singing that scene, isn't it?
No,
Or is he singing the parts of it?
I think the older Scrooge sings some of it. 'Cause he comes up and starts crying when he's singing it, isn't he? He's like, "Oh my God."
No, I love that film. It's
Yeah.
a top film. It is good, but I understand why people don't like it because a lot of people don't like the Muppets. People that obviously took it as like a mockery on the original story as well. Whereas I think it just was like a different
See,
take.
that's the thing. I feel like people obviously they say hate it because if you hate the Muppets, you're gonna hate it. And I feel like if people obviously hate the Christmas Carol for the fact it's been overdone so many times, you're gonna hate it. But I just can't hate the movie. It's just
I don't think it's even if you
beautiful.
watch like if you hate the fact that the Christmas Carol's been done so many times, it's such a different take on it, and there's so many like little things in it. Like it's just good, man. Like with the eagle one, isn't he like something about being American? And he's like, oh, I mean British.
Yeah, he's like, it's the American way, and then someone goes, yeah, fucking the Gonzo comes up, doesn't he? It's like whispering in his ear. He's like, oh, it is the British way. There's a lot of really good like jokes that obviously gets away because it's the Muppets.
It is good, man. It is. It's like other than that one thing that I always hated, and that's that little porcelain ghost because that's terrifying. As a kid, I hated that thing. Like, that's more scary than the actual death at the end. Like the little porcelain ghost of Christmas past. That thing's fucking terrifying.
I feel like that covers everything. I mean, I don't think I've really skipped anything like that's worth a mention or I mean, the only other unorthodox movie I obviously could have mentioned was obviously Fat Man with Mel Gibson, where it's just basically Santa Claus versus a hitman.
I've never
Which is,
seen it, but you used talking about it.
yeah, it's very interesting. It's Walter Goggins is the hitman. He was the bad guy in Ant-Man and Wasp. He was also the bad guy in Tomb Raider the same year. No, yes, same
Oh,
year.
yes.
I was 2018. Yes, they're both from 2018. Uh, but yeah. Okay, so let's move on to some news then. What we've got here. So, obviously, in terms of news, obviously, Sony announced the official name for the new animated Spider-Man movie. It's going to be obviously called Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse Part 1. And that's going to drop in on October 7th, 2022, exclusively in theatres, cinemas for us Brits. And the little teaser they released looks really good. Obviously,
Is it the sequel to Into
into the spot,
Spider-Verse?
yeah.
I'll be watching it.
Because I mean, obviously
Same animation style.
yeah, they've aged Miles a bit. Like he's not the same age, and obviously they've aged Gwen a bit. And
Mm.
the little tease they released was very funny, and it also showed Spider-Man 2099 fighting Miles, which was really
Oh,
cool.
yeah.
Like, I mean, Miles is falling for like the multiverse, and a portal opens, and fucking Spider-Man 2099 comes through and starts battering him. And it's there comes up obviously it's given the title, and it's like part 1, so it's a 2-part story. And it shows obviously it does showcase the different animation styles of the different universes, which is quite cool. I mean, that story's been done in Ultimate Spider-Man like 2 or 3 times.
Mm.
But it's going to be interesting to see it on a bigger scale. So I'm very much looking forward to that. Obviously, sticking with like trailers dropped. Obviously, Matrix dropped its second and more likely last trailer since obviously the movie's out in just under 2 weeks. And the second trailer obviously reveals a bit more about some characters that you're like, who are they? Don't know who they are, but obviously it reveals who they sort of are linked to. And honestly, it looks good. I
I
mean,
don't know if it's a full trailer, but I've seen the part when he's like runs on the wall and he's like, "I still remember Kung Fu."
yes, at the end of this trailer, he's
Is
like,
that,
just
is
like
that their same?
does the punching. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a lot of really cool moments within this trailer. I mean, they did the Mr. Anderson scream, but they did it so it's like cut between the new guy and the original guy shouting it,
Mm.
which looks really cool. I mean, they can't really go wrong because I mean they fucked up badly with Matrix 3. So I mean they already hit the low point. I mean you can't go any lower. You've just got to get a bit higher. It's like a better movie than the last one. So I'm looking forward to this. I mean it's been a long time since the last Matrix, so it's definitely going to be something interesting to watch.
I hope it's good.
I mean, it's like 22nd, I think, comes out. It's
And they got
literally
that.
right before Christmas.
They got that PlayStation 5 and Xbox Unreal
Yeah,
Engine
they keep
thing,
advertising that it
whatever it
does.
is, some experience thing. I don't know what it is, but
What else we got? Obviously, Netflix announced the new Texas Chainsaw Massacre is going to be dropping on there February 18th next year, 2022. The trailer doesn't really show much. It just obviously shows some of the characters and obviously Leatherface like chainsawing the floor and lifting like a skin mask up before you get the release date and obviously whatnot. Obviously, this is a direct sequel to the original movie, but at the same time, the directors are saying, "Oh, you can sort of just put it wherever you want to put it."
it's one of them loose ones. It's like they
Yeah,
want it here, but you can also just kind of put it
it's like,
if
oh,
you want.
if you want to think like the second one exists in this universe, you can. It's strange. I mean,
Which one's one when he pushes the fat woman against the door?
I believe that was the prequel to the remakes.
I love that one. I just love a bit when he put the fat woman's against the door and he's like,
Yeah, I think that was the prequel to the remakes.
I think that's a very good one. Is that the one Rob Zombie did? Was it Rob Zombie?
No, Michael Bay produced the
Oh, was
remakes.
it? Oh no, I can't remember who done it. Yeah. Yeah, I just remember that scene very vividly of him like pushing the fat woman and he's like chops straight through her.
I don't think he
Really
jumps right
good
through
scene.
it because
I swear he cuts through the door and like kills her in the process, doesn't he?
she's
Am I
in the.
imagining something else?
I think you imagine something else. I mean, if I remember correctly, she is pushing against the door, but I don't think he kills her.
Maybe I'm imagining that I wanted that to happen. I don't know.
um, obviously, in terms of TV news, I mean, the one thing that keeps popping up. I mean, I haven't heard Disney officially confirm it, but everyone's basically saying, yeah, it's gone. Turner and Hooch, obviously the TV adaptation sequel to the film, basically still looks like it's been cancelled after one series.
I mean, Josh would reckon Josh.
Yeah.
I can't think of his actual name.
Uh, Josh. Begins with H, I think.
Hughes.
It's Josh something. It's Josh something. I can't remember his fucking last name off the top of my head. But
No,
yeah,
God knows. I ain't got a clue.
obviously everywhere on the internet's basically saying yeah, it's
Did you watch any of it? Was it any good?
I watched the entire series. I really enjoyed it. I mean, to be fair, it's kind of lucky that they basically wrapped up the main storyline, so at least it's not going to be that annoyance of, oh, it's been cancelled, but there's still so much story they could tell. So at least there's not that annoyance with it, but there is a lot of stuff they could have told. I mean, they set up obviously romances at the end of the first series. You're like, where's that going to go in like another series? But obviously that's kind of not going to basically happen now because it's like, got the chop near enough. But apparently the guy who was in Die Hard, he played the copper, Al, because obviously he was in the original Turner and Hooch, and obviously he was in the series as like the mayor. Apparently he said something about they might be shopping it around to other networks, and the name you're after is Josh Peck.
Yeah, that's it.
I was quickly googling in the background. Yeah, Josh Peck. But yeah, so fingers crossed that maybe just get picked up elsewhere.
Like,
What else is that? Obviously, by the time this podcast actually goes out, obviously the Game Awards would have actually had the winners. So obviously, I think we'll end up bringing that up in the next podcast in 2 weeks. Like, we'll probably, I know it's like really late, but I feel like we'd still bring up like, some aspects of that just because it's me and you. We want to talk. We probably want to talk about obviously our thoughts on that, or we'll find some point at some point just to throw in like a video of us talking maybe about our thoughts on the winners and shit. Because I mean, at the moment, the Player's Voice award that's been nominated, which is in like round 2, I think. I think round 3 kicks off tomorrow, or it's. I swear it's like it's like really late. Round 3 kicks off, and it goes into the show itself. So I'm interested to see who wins that one. I'm interested to see who wins the show in general. Because usually there's like someone who does straight up clean sweeps, basically, like mostly.
everything.
Like not essentially clean sweeps, but like gets like a fuck ton of awards. I mean, Last of Us did it last year. There's a couple of obviously God of War and like Red Dead won fucking loads their year. There's obviously a few of us in 2019 like got quite a few awards. So it's interesting to see who picks up like who gets the most awards basically. So that'd be interesting. You got any news or anything that you can think of?
The only gaming news I've got, I know of, obviously, the new Warzone Call of Duty thing comes out publicly on the 9th, I believe. Apparently there's a patch coming to the Pokemon Diamond and Pearl remakes, which is going to stop a lot of the glitches, but people have already found a way around them again, so I don't know how that's going to work. That's pretty much all the news that I know of. Obviously, Halo comes out soon, the single player, which I'm looking forward to. That's going to be really good. That's mainly the news. Not a lot really going on gaming wise that I am a big fan of anyway. So
okay, fair enough. But like that covers everything. Thanks for listening to us yabber on about love for certain Christmas movies and hate for other ones and mixed feelings to ones if they're Christmas or not. So just thanks for listening to us jabbering on for as long as we could. I mean, this is like probably the longest we've talked in a long time in terms of the podcast. So thanks for if you got this far. Good for
go
you.
watch Muppet Christmas Carol now.
But yeah, if you got any questions or anything, just as usual, comments below, or anyway, you can throw a comment, just throw the comment to ask the question.
It'll probably be a stream eventually towards Christmas, I hope. So
yeah, we're trying to sort some out. It's just like trying to find the right day. I mean, when we're not tired or busy, just trying to find that right moment just to sit down.
We're always tired.
Yep. I mean, I'm on like 4 hours skip at the moment. I mean, I went to bed at like 9:10. Woke up, thought it was like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. I'd only been asleep an hour. And I was like, for fuck's sake.
I got a decent sleep. I'm just hungry now.
I'm just knackered. But yeah, so obviously we'll look into Christmas stream at some point. We're trying to at least do one. Our aim is at least one. I know last year we did fucking loads, but that was before obviously you did a lot of podcasts with me. So we're trying to at least do one Christmas stream at some point.
Yeah, even if it's a Christmas podcast stream, that.
Yeah, basically. And well, we'll see you in 2 weeks on the podcast. But I mean, you'll see me and him on Back for Blood as we go along the next few weeks.
Yeah, we're kind of in it. We need to finish it, but almost done.
Basically. So, see you then.
Peace out.
Oh, we didn't talk about Santa Paws.
No!